Hi, and welcome to New God Sunday School. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And coming soon from Image Comics, Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, starring Adam Starr and the Solar Legion. All of those books are available for pre-order in the show notes below. It's a sad day here at New God Sunday School. This is the final issue of New Gods number 11, locked in titanic battle, which only the Black Racer can win. The New Gods, a shocking secret revealed in Darkseid and Sons. This is the final issue of the New Gods, but we'll be seeing Orion and friends 12 years later when the new management of DC gives Jack Kirby a second chance to give New Gods proper ending. So he gets to do a few more New Gods stories and put a capper on it. But that's still a ways away. We still, after the cancellation of New Gods, we still have, and we bid a fond farewell to the Forever People in the previous episode. But Mr. Miracle still has a ways to go. Mr. Miracle, there's a few more issues of that left. Yeah, this is one of the first issues of New Gods I ever read, and I think it might be the first original New Gods comic I got. The other ones I had been reading around this time were the Baxter reprints from the 80s that led up to Jack Kirby's Hunger Dogs sequel to the New Gods. Darkseid and Sons. The more times I read this issue, the more I love it. It's not the grand finale of the New Gods that anybody was envisioning, Jack Kirby or the readers, but it is. It's better than most Jack Kirby final issues. He does seem to have some sort of inkling. I'm not sure at what point in the stage of working on this he gets the word that there's not going to be any more New Gods comics. But it is like a nice note to end on if you're, in a rush, which is usually it's never, during this period of comics, it's never like, okay, Jack, we're going to cancel New Gods or suspend New Gods, I think is the wording they used. They were going to temporarily suspend it, although in comics you kind of knew what that meant. It meant your book's done. But it's never like, okay, Jack, we'll give you 3 issues to wrap things up, or we'll give you 4 issues or 6 issues. It's like, okay, the book's canceled, wrap it up. And maybe you find out after you finished it, or maybe you find out one page before you finish it. But Jack Kirby finds it out in some point here. Now, some of my, again, I'm loving this issue more and more. I don't put it up there with the great, great issues of the New Gods, but the more I read it, the sort of closer it inches towards that territory, because it is really great. There's a lot going on here. Some of my initial disappointment with this issue was that it's basically a rematch between Orion and Kalibak. So 3 issues ago, we had this epic fight between Orion and Kalibak. Now we're having the rematch. And I was kind of hoping for, there are only so many issues of the New Gods, and I was kind of hoping for some, crazy new villain that would show up the way the Forever People had Devil Lance show up in their final issue. Maybe some Sky version of the Deep Six. Maybe call them the High Five or something. Some kind of maybe that Pharaoh character that we'd seen in some of Jack Kirby's New Gods drawings, or that robot dude. But it's a rematch with Kalibak. But in story terms, it's interesting because we saw Kalibak and Orion seemed like each one of them could have died during their battle in number 8. And now we're kind of finding out that as beat up as Kalibak was, he's a god, and he is rip-roaring and raring to go. And it takes all this high-tech apparatus and, all the city's electricity just to keep him contained. This is a very volatile situation. And the story's advancing. Matt Kiernan, who's we think of Terrible Turpin, but Matt Kiernan was Terrible Turpin's boss back, in issue 8. And he's the guy who's so far at the spear point of Earth's defense in this cosmic war between the new gods. And Matt doesn't want any of it. He doesn't want the New Genesis people. He doesn't want the Apocalypse people. He wants them to just pack up and take their war elsewhere. And so he wants peace. He's pushing for peace. And so he tells Kalibak that he's going to let him go. He's going to let him go, but he wants him to go back to his people and tell them we want peace, and that he wants to hold a summit between the new gods. And if they want to, they can hold the summit in his office, but he wants peace. He wants this war ended now. Really great shot of the door opening with Kalibak in there in deep shadow. And then Kalibak, breaks his chains very easily, laughs at them, but tells them, I will bring your message. I will bring your message because I think it's pretty funny. I think it's funny that you think we give two shits about anything you're doing here. And so he busts out. They're shooting at him. And now we're back with Orion, and Orion he's a caged animal too. He's not in prison like Kalibak was, but he is a caged animal because he wants action, he wants fighting, he wants direct conflict. And he says he wants to wrap his hands around Darkseid and snap his spine. And what he's doing to one of Dave Lincoln's trophies, he wants to do to, I'd snap that steel backbone of his as one would a reed from the swamp. Light Ray tells him, you're going to have your chance soon enough. And then here it is. The news comes in from Claudia Shane. Kalibak has escaped from jail. So, the story is continuing. If you're following those smaller threads and the human characters, you see this story is continuing. This really is a novel. We're calling back to various elements that have been seeded, throughout. Now he's going to fight Kalibak. Some of the best scenes are between Darkseid and his best friend Desaad. And Kalibak is free, great Darkseid, and he seeks Orion.
Then there will be fierce battle, Desaad. Those two have fought each other since childhood.
Darkseid he is wearing pants. He's not walking around bare-legged. It's just his pants are the same color as his arms. So yeah, these two have fought since childhood. And a beautiful shot here. Darkseid looking incredibly fearsome. And he tells Desaad that Kalibak is his son. I don't think that's been established in any of the issues prior to this. He says that Kalibak is his son and his mother is the sorceress Suli. And Desaad kind of puts two and two together, and he remembers hearing rumors about Darkseid, that he defied the queen's wishes to court Suli. And Darkseid says he, secretly wed her, and they had a son, Kalibak. He zaps Desaad because
that little potent Omega Blast is to remind you that I know who poisoned Suli at the Queen's command.
I couldn't disobey, sire. The Queen Mother disapproved of Suli. It was her decision. Darkseid's mixing some toxic-looking concoction here.
The old tyrant, she taught me well the importance of bringing others to their will in the end. When I mastered this fine art.
I don't like to remember it, sire. How I carried your plans for her. So, a lot of really great palace intrigue here. A lot of great filling in the backstory of things that have been going on since issue 1, and then things we learned in issue 7, The Pact. It just goes deeper and deeper. So yeah, just through these couple panels, we find out that Kalibak is Darkseid's son, that Darkseid was married to the sorceress Suli against his mother, the queen's wishes. Suli was poisoned by Desaad, Darkseid's best friend, at the orders of the queen. And then Darkseid poisoned his own mother, Hagra. And so you see Darkseid, this, completely desiccated figure made of stone, and you just see this is somebody stripped of any warmth or humanity that he would kill his own mother to achieve his ends. Really, that's a villain. Just really powerful stuff. And now Kalibak's banging the side of the building, and the building's shaking. And as powerful as Kalibak was the last time we saw him, he wasn't doing this kind of stuff. He had that club and he could smash through a wall and stuff, but to bang the side of a building and just shake the whole thing, like this, just with the side of his fist, seems like new territory for Calabac. But again, these are the new gods, so nothing they do surprises me. But this time, Light Ray, he wants a shot, which I think pretty much happened in issue 8 also. And so he comes out, and Orion has borne the burden of battle too long. Hail, Calabac! Hail, King of Tormentors! I'm in no mood to play with noble idiots. Where's Orion? And so then Light Ray, turns on the light, this nova burst, and, Calabac's blinded by the intensity of the light, and then boom, it's just this huge explosion set off for Calabac as Light Ray does a flyby. He's zipping around ready for more, but incredible. Calabac is stricken but undamaged by the blast. He must have acquired new powers. We're seeing a newly powered up Calabac, which again is one of the things, I kind of wish this issue had, was that since we're seeing Calabac with kind of like upgraded powers, I wish there was some kind of visual to accompany it, maybe some kind of new costume or some kind of device attached to him, or some sort of like slight mutation, maybe just something to like really sell that, because again it just feels like in some ways just like a rerun of issue 8. We have that great scene with Desaad, and those are really highlights of this issue, but I just wish this were a little more distinguishable from the action of issue 8, as great as issue 8 was. Issue 8, Calabac had this like elaborate, like sort of regal costume that gets more and more damaged as the battle goes on, where in this, he's in those like same like boxer shorts that he was in issue 1. I just, it's a little boring, for a Jack Kirby thing, but I understand what might be communicated here. He grabs Light Ray like right out of the air, throws him around like a rag doll, and Light Ray's really, he doesn't have a chance. He's toast. Blast the combat code of warriors. I've had to stand by and watch Calabac almost demolish poor Light Ray without intervening. You New Genesis people sure have hang-ups about fair play. I wouldn't mind ganging up on Calabac. I think the fight is over for Light Ray. And so Orion's, running down to join in the battle. More than that, till I put an end to the demon's bond that forever binds Calabac and myself in a pact of destruction. This blind hatred ends now. And intense moment, the distortion of Orion's face. And now we're back with Willie Walker, who we haven't seen in a while. I think issue 4 was the last time we saw him in the main body of the story. I think we've seen him in a couple backups, Young Gods of Supertown backups. But again, this is that novelistic structure that Kirby was going for with the New Gods. And so the seeds were planted, and now the Black Racer's back. And his family feel like they've really lost him. He just seems like, he's just sort of staring into space. He's not making eye contact with them the way he used to. And he's getting a message. It's time, Willie. A messenger is needed. A messenger, both swift and final. On your feet, Willie. You can do it. That's it, Willie. The change is coming. Even as you stand, the change is taking place. Once again, I'm the Black Racer. And so he steps through the wall. My equipment lies waiting. My mission begins. Death is on the wing this night. Death for an angry god. So we know a new god is going to die. It's going to be one of these two guys, most likely. And they're fighting it out by a lamppost like Batman and Superman at the end of Dark Knight Returns. The battle's going. I love this line right here. Let the silent shades of your countless tortured victims stand by to witness the finish of their tormentor. That time is not yet, Orion. And the big surprise, he blasts this like energy blast right in Orion's face. A power we've never, seen Calabac use before. So this is a new super-powered Calabac. They were equals in the previous battle. Now Calabac seems like he's the better, and Orion just barely got out of that previous battle alive. So what's going to happen to him now? And this is one of those comics that has the jewelry ad and order form inside of it. You know, printed on nice thick paper, nicer paper than you're going to see in a comic book of this era otherwise. And he's blasting the ground that Orion stands on. He's blasting Orion. Orion is... Things aren't looking good for him. And then Calabac comes in with a big punch. And then here comes a nice showstopper. This is a nice page turn right here. Boom. He just like pulls apart this giant wall to send it right down on Orion. Nice work by Mike Royer, putting a nice bold border around that. Calabac, this monster is just like reveling in all of this. Again, it's a great issue. It is a great comic. But, that little batch of issues, where all of these comics are just firing on all cylinders, that's rarefied air. So, in my opinion, this isn't quite there. But again, every time I read it, it just seems better and better, more and more. And I notice more of the little threads from issue to issue that Dave Lincoln's riding in the back of Kiernan's car. Dave continues to tell him that, like, look, these guys aren't all alike. Orion's a good guy. I care about Orion. And Matt Kiernan's like, we'll get them both under control. Now, let me finish with my radio instructions. And then back at Darkseid's palace, and one of his minions tells him, "Sire, our instruments register strange emanations being transmitted from this very location."
Calabac has shown incredible new powers. I fear for Orion.
So, we learned back in issue 7 that Orion is Darkseid's son. And although Orion is, public enemy number 1, Darkseid obviously has a soft spot in his heart for his son, his fierce, heroic son, even if he's on the wrong side of things. His son who sort of went away to college and came back with a head full of things that completely go against what Darkseid believes, and has signed up for a war that Darkseid doesn't believe in, going against all of Darkseid's values. We can track these waves, sire. They're zeroed in on Calabac himself. So there's energy waves going to Calabac that emanate from Darkseid's little hideout.
Increasing his strength, no doubt, filling his entire body with new power-creating elements. So, that's it. While I've watched this battle between combatants of equal strength, another has manipulated it for his own fiendish purposes.
And again, another great page turn reveal. He throws open the curtains, and there's Desaad with his fear siphon. "I couldn't help it, sire. The opportunity of absorbing the emotions of Orion and Calabac through this siphon was too tempting." So Desaad is in here, getting his sick, twisted jollies from the suffering of Darkseid's 2 sons in combat with each other, in combat to the death. And all that stuff about Suli and the Queen, it's been stirring up a lot of memories and a lot of emotions for Darkseid. And in that sort of emotional climate, this is too much.
I've tolerated you and your twisted mind too long. This time, you've turned it against my own kin.
"I strengthened Calabac, sir. You will glory in his victory for Apocalypse. As for Orion..."
Orion may be dying, crushed by your meddling, scheming brain, and his final agonies are coursing through you, feeding your cursed needs.
Look at this panel. Man, he is powering up. This is scary, end of the world kind of stuff. This is, when the new gods live up to their names.
Then feed on the greatest fear of all, the Omega effect, the total wipeout. Feed on this, your own last experience.
"No, sire, no!" Where the Omega beams strike, there's no life, no death, no sign of previous existence. Desaad doesn't even have the time to scream. This is the first time I ever saw the Omega effect So then when I later read the, first appearance of the Omega effect in the Forever People, I was like, holy shit, the Forever People are fucked. Because it just erases you from existence. You are reduced to a fading patch of light on the floor before vanishing forever from existence and from all memory. Powerful stuff. This, I don't know why I don't group this in with those great issues. It is really, 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 really great. And it's just the sort of, I might have to amend that. Again, every time I read it, it gets better and better. And yeah, the Desaad and Darkseid stuff is powerful. He just killed his best friend. That's his that's like his only friend left from the old days, Desaad. It's like, he killed his mother. He exiled his second wife, Tigra, Orion's mother. He arranged for his uncle to be killed, and now he killed his best friend. Kind of severing all ties with the past. I mean, Darkseid, this sort of lonely tyrant, is lonelier than ever, which is kind of inevitable if for somebody who's got Darkseid's goals and lack of humanity. This is where things are heading. Really powerful stuff. And Orion, claws out of the rubble. Dave Lincoln's armed with this giant cannon. Back off, Calabac. These new rifles pack a punch that could floor even you. Fire your puny pellets. And so, we're getting ready to see, see Dave Lincoln fire away at Calabac. Maybe see what these guns can do. See, if you can get one of these in the hand of every Earth person, maybe we'll have a chance against these new gods. But he doesn't get the chance because, Orion, you're still alive. Still alive, you bearded carrion, and still intent on ending our rivalry. We must be brothers, you and I, different sides of the same coin, true sons of Darkseid, the essence of his creed of total violence. Were Darkseid my father, he would have but one true son, Calabac. So, these two guys don't know that they're Darkseid's sons, but they're starting to get a sense of it, and they're talking, sort of metaphorically, like, if I were Darkseid's son, I'd be his favorite. So we're getting there. Now, in terms of context, when I first read this, I was, well-versed in the Superpowers cartoon where, Calabac's always, following behind Darkseid and saying, Father. Him being Darkseid's son wasn't some big revelation to me. But, maybe if I hadn't known that, maybe that would have, packed some more punch for me. Like, we know Orion's Darkseid's son. We're learning in this issue that Calabac is Darkseid's son, but neither of these guys know it either. And now they're really clawing at each other's faces, and there in the distance is the Black Racer. He's getting closer. As if he were demon-possessed, Orion unleashes a depth of fury unknown to even the gods. He pounds Calabac like a maddened beast. The time is at hand. Die! Bam! This is the last of you. My added power. It's gone. I can't use it. Blow after cruel blow smashes into Calabac like a steel hammer. And then he lifts Calabac up in the air. Calabac becomes a limp and battered hulk. Every bone in his body suffers damage. Why don't you fight, Calabac? Has all resistance left you? Then, as Orion lifts Calabac for a last crushing act of violence, he sees the Black Racer rushing toward him. Death approaches, Orion. Both of you have taken incredible punishment, but I've come for only one. If it be me, then come and be swift. Look at this. Great, just really great storytelling here. And zeroed right in on Orion. It's like, are we going to see, is this, we've seen a lot of people die in this series and in this issue. Are we going to see Orion taken out? The book's not called Orion, it's called The New Gods. There's no stopping the Black Racer. Orion is struck by a fierce wind, and every fiber quakes and screams in the shadow of what overwhelms him. And he lets out a scream. And then a storm passes. The wind shrieks on and flings debris everywhere. The Black Racer has come and gone too is Calabac. A heavy silence falls on the city in the wake of the sudden gust. Then the normal sounds of the city return. The Black Racer spared me. It was Calabac moment of dying, not mine. Orion, what was all that? Where is Calabac? And that guy on skis? Huh. To think I sent that bull moose on a peace mission. How will we ever end this war? Destiny shall end it. It is written that the father of apocalypse shall meet his banished son in the red light of the fire pits. And there they shall decide this war. And so it shall be. I can deny it no longer. To others or to myself. I am Darkseid's son. Armed and ready with the heritage bequeathed me, the ultimate ferocity. When I clash with Darkseid, the war will end. I can't fucking wait to see what happens next. Orion has made that realization, this realization that he probably understood on some level his whole life, but he's made the realization and accepts it that he is Darkseid's son, and they will face each other, and he will end the war. And hell of a way to end an issue. And again, like, this was a special project for Kirby. This wasn't just another assignment. So he's hoping he'll get to end this somehow. And then the final panel, Commandy, the last boy on Earth. Remember that title. It's at your favorite mag rack soon. And it is like the world with a new set of rules. See Earth AD after disaster. The animals there are men. And so for a long time, as a Kirby fan, I had a certain resentment for Commandy because I sort of just associated Commandy with the demise of the New Gods. That like, hey, the New Gods is my favorite comic. I love it. I can't fucking wait to find out what's next. But Carmine Infantino cancels it to make way for Commandy, and cancels the Forever People to make way for the Demon. So again, my resentment didn't really carry on to the Demon, but it did carry on to Commandy for a while, and it took me a while to become a fan of Commandy just because it had to sort of overcome that. What a great issue of a comic, and what a great setup for like more to come. But unfortunately, there's going to be a 12-year period where there's not any more to come. And this, of all Kirby's comics, really felt like there was a plan and it was going somewhere and it was heading towards something. And with every issue, we were getting closer and closer. And this really does seem that way. But yeah, great stuff, great drawing. You create, the greatest comic series of all time, and then your reward is cancellation. And we got the letters columns and stuff. And in the letters columns, they don't seem to know that that the New Gods is canceled. So they must have written these before that. They do talk about the last Forever People. It's supposed to be out 2 weeks after the last Forever People. So I don't know. So it sounds like they knew the Forever People was canceled, unless they mean like, oh, the last Forever People, the previous one or whatever. But no mention of the end of the New Gods. But yeah, just really sad. And what would have happened if they had allowed the New Gods to continue? Jack Kirby was not happy with it, was not happy about the cancellation. And I also feel like if they had canceled the other two, if they had canceled Mr. Miracle and Forever People, I think Jack would have been fine because he could have, continued this story. This was really the one. This was the flagship. Done the Demon, done Commandy, but then like maybe have this almost sort of turn into the Eternals. The way the Eternals was just sort of like jam-packed with stuff. The New Gods, already a pretty dense comic, would just be like jam-packed with all the Apocalypse, New Genesis stuff. But I think that would have been that's a possible way forward. But again, the whole thing just, to me, just seems very arbitrary. The cancellation and choosing Mr. Miracle to continue. I mean, it makes sense to me. Mr. Miracle, had some, really amazing stories and had sort of, was the one that was sort of closest to being just like a DC superhero comic. He has a cape. I understand why they did it. I just, I can't say I agree with it. This is, one of the great bummers of being a comics fan is when, your favorite comic gets canceled, and when so many, shitty comics will run for decades, and then something this great gets 11 issues, 11 bi-monthly issues, coming out over the course of 2 years. But yeah, I'm going to need a moment. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And coming soon from Image Comics, Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, starring Adam Starr and the Solar Legion. All of those books are available for pre-order in the show notes below. I'll see you next time for New God Sunday School.